Okay, let's talk about car prices right now because we know they're still pretty high, especially with the interest rates as high as they are. And if you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, it may be out of reach.
Buying a car used to be a smart investment, but now it's a financial nightmare. Prices have skyrocketed, buyers are walking away, and dealerships are panicking. The average new vehicle now costs over $64,000, with monthly payments exceeding $1,000. Interest rates are brutal, and dealerships, they're drowning in unsold cars. After years of price gouging and shady tactics, the industry is collapsing under its own greed. Buyers have had enough, and dealerships are running out of options. In this video, we're exposing the shocking reality of dealership scams, why the market is on the verge of collapse, and, most importantly, how you can outsmart the system to save thousands. Are dealerships finally paying the price for their greed, or will they find new ways to trap buyers in bad deals? Let's get into it. What's happening? Over the last few years, car prices have shot up beyond anyone's expectations. The average cost of a new vehicle today is an eye-watering $64,000, and for full-size trucks, it's even worse. Just a few years ago, you could have gotten a reliable truck for nearly half that price. So what happened? The short answer: greed, shortages, and market manipulation. During the pandemic, manufacturers slowed down production due to supply chain disruptions. Less supply meant higher demand, and dealerships took full advantage of the situation. Prices skyrocketed, and buyers had no choice but to pay the premium or walk away. But the real problem isn't just the price hike, it's the monthly payments that come with it. With interest rates climbing, a standard car loan now stretches beyond 72 months. That's 6 years of payments on a vehicle that loses value the second you drive it off the lot. Buyers are being lured in with flashy trucks, massive infotainment screens, and high-tech features, but they're also being trapped in long-term financial commitments that don't make sense. And here's the kicker: dealers knew exactly what they were doing. They set the prices, controlled the financing, and pushed buyers into high payment loans. But as consumers started to push back, things began to change. Buyers refused to play along, and that's when dealerships started feeling the heat. Buyer backlash. For years, dealerships held all the power. They dictated the financing terms, inflated car prices, and convinced buyers that overpaying was normal. Not anymore. Consumers are fighting back. Today, buyers are refusing to sign overpriced deals that saddle them with ridiculous car payments. And honestly, who can blame them? The thought of spending over $1,000 a month on a truck loan, before even factoring in insurance, fuel, and maintenance, has made many people reconsider their options. Walkouts are becoming the norm. Shoppers are visiting dealerships, test driving vehicles, and then refusing to sign the paperwork once they see the final price. Some dealers are so desperate that they call back potential buyers multiple times, offering them new discounts they swore didn't exist before. It gets worse. Many buyers who did commit to high car payments are now experiencing serious financial regret. Stories are surfacing about people trading in their cars just months after buying them, not because they want to, but because they can't afford the payments anymore. It's a vicious cycle. People take out massive loans thinking they can manage, only to realize that between inflation, rising costs of living, and high interest rates, their budgets are stretched to the limit. More than half of new truck loans now exceed $1,000 per month, a financial burden that's forcing many to rethink their purchases. But it's not just the prices causing frustration. What's inside the vehicles themselves is leaving buyers disillusioned and disappointed. The hidden flaws in modern vehicles. You'd think that paying more for a new vehicle means you're getting better quality, right? Unfortunately, that's not the case. Many of today's cars and trucks are more expensive than ever, yet build quality is getting worse. Buyers are complaining about flimsy plastic interiors that scratch easily, turbocharged engines replacing tried and true designs, and complex electronics that malfunction after just a few years. Car companies are cutting corners, using cheaper materials while increasing the price tag. The shift away from naturally aspirated engines to turbocharged and hybridized platforms is proving to be a nightmare for reliability. What once were durable, long-lasting engines have now been replaced with more complicated and failure-prone technology. Some truck buyers report spending more time at the dealership for repairs than actually driving their vehicles. Others are frustrated by the cost of maintenance, with some turbocharged engines requiring premium fuel and expensive repairs just to stay running. And let's not forget the frustrating software issues. Cars today are loaded with advanced driver assistance systems, touch screens that control everything from climate settings to entertainment, and over-the-air updates that can break more than they fix. When these systems fail, owners are stuck dealing with expensive repair bills, long service wait times, and a vehicle that feels more like a headache than a luxury. Buyers aren't just walking away because of price, they're rejecting the quality and complexity of modern vehicles. And here's where things get really interesting. Dealerships actually contributed to this problem. See, when demand was sky high, dealers got greedy. They pushed prices up, knowing buyers were desperate. But now, that strategy is backfiring. Dealers' greedy tactics. During the pandemic, dealers had no remorse. They saw a rare opportunity to boost profits, and they took full advantage of it. Some dealers added thousands of dollars in markups to already expensive vehicles. Many refused to negotiate because they knew desperate buyers had no choice. And worst of all, they tricked people into paying inflated prices, promising that cars would only get more expensive. For a while, it worked. Dealerships made record-breaking profits, marking up cars and trucks by thousands of dollars, sometimes $10,000 or more on popular models like the Ford F-150 Raptor, Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro, and Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. And it wasn't just luxury vehicles. Even base model trucks and SUVs saw massive price hikes. Some dealerships even added fake market adjustments on vehicles that were already selling well, but now it's coming back to haunt them. Consumers have had enough. Buyers are rejecting outrageous pricing, forcing dealers to slash prices just to move inventory. Many dealerships that once profited from desperation are now offering discounts they never planned to give. Some dealerships are flat out refusing new vehicle shipments because they can't sell the cars already on their lots. This entire mess could have been avoided if dealerships hadn't gotten greedy during the pandemic, but now their mistakes are coming back to haunt them, and they're running out of options. Why EVs are sitting unsold. A few years ago, electric vehicles were supposed to revolutionize the auto industry. Automakers poured billions into EV development, and dealerships jumped on the hype train, marking up EVs by thousands of dollars. Consumers were told that gas-powered cars were on the way out and that buying an EV was the smartest financial and environmental choice. Fast forward to today, and those same EVs are sitting unsold on dealership lots. The Ford F-150 Lightning, the GMC Hummer EV, and even Tesla's most hyped up models are struggling to find buyers. What happened? First, the cost of EVs remains too high. Despite tax incentives, the upfront price of an EV is still significantly more than a gas-powered vehicle. And when buyers do the math, many realize that the long-term savings aren't as great as they were led to believe. Second, charging infrastructure is still a major problem. While urban areas have a decent number of charging stations, rural areas and smaller cities are severely lacking in infrastructure. Buyers who need a truck for long-distance driving, towing, or off-road use aren't willing to risk running out of power with no charging station nearby. And then there's the battery degradation issue. As more EVs hit the road, buyers are becoming aware of the high costs of battery replacement. Unlike a gas engine, which can last decades with proper maintenance, EV batteries lose efficiency over time, and replacing them is extremely expensive. Some buyers fear that in just a few years, they'll be stuck with a worthless vehicle that needs a battery replacement costing tens of thousands of dollars. As a result, EV sales are slowing down, and many automakers are cutting back on their ambitious electric vehicle plans. What was once the future of the auto industry is now facing serious consumer resistance. Buyers want simplicity. For years, automakers transformed trucks from tough workhorses into luxury vehicles on wheels. Instead of simple, durable interiors, trucks started coming with leather-wrapped dashboards, touchscreen controls, and high-end sound systems. Features like massage seats, voice assistants, and digital instrument clusters became common, even in trucks that were once known for their rugged durability. And for a while, buyers loved it, but now, consumers are rejecting over-the-top luxury trucks in favor of simpler, more practical models. Why? First, the cost has gotten out of control. Trucks that were once affordable are now pushing six figures. Some of the most expensive trims of the Ford F-150, Chevy Silverado, and Ram 1500 cost as much as a luxury sedan, and many buyers simply aren't willing to pay that much for a truck, especially when most of the added features aren't necessary for actual truck use. Second, complexity is becoming a liability. Owners are tired of expensive repairs on trucks that used to be easy to maintain. A cracked touchscreen costs thousands to replace, and software glitches can render entire vehicle functions useless. Third, many truck buyers are realizing they don't need all the extra features. Contractors, farmers, and small business owners who rely on their trucks for work aren't interested in paying for luxury add-ons that don't improve performance. Instead, they're looking for simple, durable trucks that can take a beating and keep running for years. Some brands are starting to notice this shift. Ford, for example, is experimenting with more basic, no-frills truck models that strip out unnecessary tech. Meanwhile, brands that continue pushing luxury-first trucks are seeing sales decline. This shift in consumer demand could reshape the truck market entirely. If more buyers choose simple, rugged vehicles over high-tech, overpriced models, automakers will be forced to rethink their entire strategy. But this is only the beginning. What happens when dealerships can't move their inventory fast enough? Will massive price drops finally force the market to correct itself, or will some dealerships go out of business entirely? And most importantly, how are dealerships trying to cover up their mistakes? And how can you beat them at their own game? The auto industry's reputation crisis. For decades, automakers like Toyota, Ford, and General Motors built their reputations on reliability, durability, and strong resale value. Buyers trusted these brands to deliver dependable vehicles that could last for years, even decades. But now, that trust is crumbling. Toyota, once synonymous with bulletproof reliability, has disappointed loyal customers with the latest versions of the Tacoma and Tundra. Instead of continuing their tried-and-true formula of naturally aspirated V6 and V8 engines, Toyota has shifted toward turbocharged and hybrid powertrains. While these newer technologies offer better fuel efficiency on paper, they introduce more complexity, higher maintenance costs, and potential long-term reliability concerns. Longtime Toyota owners expected their trucks to last hundreds of thousands of miles with minimal repairs, but now many are second-guessing their loyalty. Reports of cheaper interior materials, questionable fit and finish, and mechanical issues appearing earlier than expected are surfacing across forums and consumer reviews. If Toyota continues down this path, it risks alienating the very customers who have kept the brand at the top for decades. But Toyota isn't alone in facing a reputation crisis. Ford and General Motors, two of the biggest names in the truck and SUV market, are also losing consumer confidence. Ford has been plagued with widespread recalls, faulty transmissions, and ongoing complaints about turbo engine reliability. The Ford F-150, their flagship truck, has been hit with mechanical failures, frustrating software glitches, and inconsistent build quality. Buyers who once relied on Ford's workhorse reputation are now finding themselves stuck with unexpected repair bills and warranty headaches. General Motors isn't doing much better. The Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra have been dealing with major engine reliability concerns, particularly with their active fuel management systems and transmission failures. Some owners have reported catastrophic engine problems before even reaching 100,000 miles, something unheard of in older truck generations. This shift in consumer sentiment could reshape the truck and SUV market entirely. If buyers continue rejecting expensive, high-tech models in favor of simpler, more durable vehicles, automakers will be forced to rethink their strategies. For dealerships, this means one thing: a flood of used vehicles hitting the market. And for buyers, it means there could be huge opportunities to pick up vehicles at lower prices, but only if they know where to look. The future of dealerships. With buyers walking away, trust in automakers at an all-time low, and repossessions on the rise, dealerships are now facing one of the biggest challenges in modern history. For years, they operated under the assumption that they could control the market. They manipulated inventory, marked up prices, and convinced buyers that overpaying was normal. But now, that strategy has completely backfired. More and more consumers are turning to direct-to-consumer sales models, choosing to buy online rather than dealing with traditional dealerships. Companies like Tesla have proven that buyers prefer a no-haggle, no-markup approach, and now other automakers are exploring ways to cut dealerships out of the process entirely. The industry is at a crossroads. If dealerships don't adjust to this new reality, they risk becoming obsolete. Many smaller dealerships are already struggling to stay afloat, and experts predict that a wave of dealership closures could be coming in the next few years. The power has shifted back to the buyer, and the dealerships that fail to adapt won't survive. The auto industry is in full crisis mode. Toyota, Ford, and General Motors are struggling with customer trust. Repossessions are hitting record highs, and dealerships are running out of ways to manipulate manipulate the market. But this leaves one big question: how can buyers take advantage of the situation? Are we about to see massive price drops? Will dealerships be forced to slash prices just to stay in business? And most importantly, when is the perfect time to buy, and how can you get the best deal possible? Stick with me, because we're going to break down exactly how you can outsmart dealerships, find the best deals, and make sure you never get ripped off again. When to buy. If you're thinking about buying a car, timing is everything. With dealerships struggling to move inventory, manufacturers slowing production, and repossessions flooding the used car market, we are heading toward a massive shift in pricing. But when exactly will be the best time to buy? Historically, the best months for car shopping have been late spring through midsummer, particularly from May to August. This is when dealerships start clearing out their inventory to make room for the next model year. However, given the current state of the auto industry, this timeline might be shifting. Right now, dealers are holding on to overpriced cars, hoping that buyers will return to the market. But as more vehicles pile up on lots and financing remains expensive, something has to give. Many experts predict that by mid to late summer, we could see some of the biggest price drops in years. Why? Because manufacturers are under immense pressure to keep their vehicles moving. If dealerships refuse to accept new shipments, automakers will be forced to step in with massive incentives and discounts to clear the backlog. This is already happening with rebates, low interest financing, and dealer incentives that weren't available just a few months ago. If you're in the market for a car, patience is key. Wait for dealerships to feel the pressure. As their lots continue to overflow and their financial situation worsens, they will be forced to drop prices significantly. The trick is knowing when they hit their breaking point. And if you miss the summer window, don't worry. End of year deals will also be a major opportunity. By the time November and December roll around, dealers will be desperate to clear out old models before the new year begins. This means higher negotiation power, lower prices, and better financing options. The key takeaway: time is on your side. The longer you wait, the more desperate dealerships will become. But even when prices drop, dealerships will still try to trick you. That's why knowing their tactics is just as important as knowing when to buy. How to outsmart dealerships in a changing market. For years, dealerships have controlled car prices, manipulated supply, and used every trick in the book to maximize their profits at the buyer's expense. But now, the tides are turning. Unsold inventory is piling up, consumer trust is at an all-time low, and buyers finally have the upper hand. As dealerships struggle to move vehicles, buyers have more negotiating power than ever. But just because dealerships are desperate doesn't mean they won't try to squeeze as much money out of you as possible. In fact, their tactics are becoming even trickier. One of the most common strategies dealerships use is the high-pressure sales pitch. Salespeople will tell you that the car you're looking at is in high demand, or that the deal they're offering won't last long. But the reality is that dealerships currently have an oversupply of vehicles, not a shortage. If a salesperson tries to rush you into signing a deal, walking away is often the best move. Many buyers who hold off on making a purchase find that dealerships call them back days later with a better offer. Another common trick is the monthly payment trap. Instead of negotiating the total price of the car, dealers focus on stretching out the loan term to make monthly payments seem more affordable. While this tactic makes it appear as though you're getting a great deal, it actually leads to thousands of extra dollars paid in interest over time. The smartest approach is to negotiate the total price first before even discussing financing options. Trade-ins are another area where dealerships try to make extra money. Many will lowball the trade-in value of your current vehicle while inflating the price of the car you're buying. To avoid this, buyers should check their car's true market value using online tools like Kelley Blue Book or Edmunds before heading to the dealership. If the offer is too low, selling the car privately may be a better option. On top of that, dealerships often sneak in hidden fees, such as market adjustments, extended warranties, paint protection, or excessive documentation fees. It's critical to carefully review the final paperwork and challenge any unnecessary add-ons. If a dealership refuses to remove a questionable fee, walking away can often force them to reconsider. Dealerships aren't just struggling with pricing, many are fighting to survive. For decades, they operated under the assumption that they could control the market, dictating prices and forcing buyers into overpriced deals. But as more consumers reject the traditional dealership model, the industry is facing a crisis. Companies like Tesla have already proven that buyers prefer a direct-to-consumer approach, where prices are fixed and there is no haggling or hidden fees. Now, other automakers, including Ford and General Motors, are experimenting with ways to sell cars directly to buyers, cutting dealerships out of the process entirely. The power is shifting back to buyers, and if dealerships don't change their approach, they risk becoming obsolete. The auto industry is undergoing a massive transformation, and those who understand these changes can take full advantage. With the right strategy, you could end up getting the best deal of your life. But what does this mean for the future of car buying? Are we seeing the end of traditional dealerships altogether? So what's next? Car dealerships are at a tipping point. For decades, they controlled pricing, manipulated supply, and used every trick in the book to maximize profits at the buyer's expense. But as more consumers get fed up with the old-school dealership model, things are starting to change. Direct-to-consumer sales models are gaining popularity, with companies like Tesla proving that buyers prefer a transparent, no-haggle experience. Other automakers, including Ford and General Motors, are experimenting with online-only sales, cutting dealerships out of the process altogether. This shift could completely reshape the way people buy cars. Instead of going from dealership to dealership, negotiating with pushy salespeople, and worrying about hidden fees, buyers may soon be able to order their cars directly from manufacturers at fixed prices. For dealerships, this is a major threat. If automakers move to a direct sales model, many dealerships could be forced to shut down altogether. Some smaller dealers are already struggling to stay in business, and if the industry continues in this direction, we could see a wave of dealership closures in the next few years. This means that dealerships must adapt or die. Some are already trying to modernize their business model by improving customer service, offering better pricing transparency, and eliminating aggressive sales tactics. But will it be enough? Or will dealerships become a thing of the past? One thing is certain, the power is shifting back to buyers. The Smart Buyer's Playbook. Now that you know how the game is played, how do you use this information to your advantage? First, be patient. Prices will continue to drop as dealerships struggle to move inventory. If you don't need to buy a car immediately, wait until dealerships hit their breaking point. Second, do your research. Before stepping onto a lot, know the true market value of the car you want, the interest rates available, and the best incentives being offered. The more informed you are, the harder it will be for a dealership to trick you. Third, negotiate like a pro. Never accept the first offer and always be ready to walk away if the deal doesn't feel right. The more willing you are to leave, the more desperate they'll be to offer you a better price, and watch out for hidden fees and unnecessary add-ons. If a charge doesn't make sense, challenge it. If they won't remove it, walk. Finally, consider all your buying options. Dealerships aren't your only choice anymore. Look into direct-to-consumer sales, certified pre-owned vehicles, and online car buying platforms for better deals and fewer headaches. The dealership model as we know it is changing, and that change is putting more power in the hands of the buyer. The auto industry is at a turning point, and buyers finally have the upper hand. Prices are dropping, dealerships are struggling, and if you play your cards right, you could get the best car deal of your life. But what do you think? Are dealerships finally getting what they deserve for years of overpricing and manipulation? Or do you think the industry will bounce back and find new ways to take advantage of buyers? Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more updates on the car market.